take a cue from Todd's presentation on the first day, where he showed the beautiful museum in Winnipeg, and I missed traveling to Winnipeg because I used to come quite often, and I've actually been through there. It's absolutely beautiful. And so he had the agenda, and I thought it's a great way to set it up, and just so everyone's aware of how I'll frame the talk today. And Mike, through your guidance, I'll just do a presentation of our value prop, and then go into the demo just to show folks how easy our platform is to use and how it's being used today. So I think anytime you talk about a new potential partner, I think it's always important to understand who the people are behind the business. And so SideDrawer co-founders are Gaston Siri. He's got a technical background. He was most recently the CTO of Flexity Financial, which was he actually had the IP that was acquired, and then it became Canada's largest private label credit card provider. So him and his team built the entire payments platform for that business, and ended up acquiring TD's portfolio when they exited the business. They also acquired Desjardins' portfolio, and they have a tremendous amount of experience in dealing with people's personal information, operating in a highly regulated environment. And I think this is the team that's really come into SideDrawer and put placed the groundwork in for creating the platform that we have today, which is completely API based, and I'll touch on. My background is I've always been interested in finance, so I got my CA and CPA, and then moved into investment banking and equities sales afterwards. And so actually BCV and Alec McIsaac have been clients of mine over time, so I know them quite well. And I'm glad to see them grow the way that they have. So I transitioned into sales, and then I've been very much involved in the capital markets business for the last 20 years. And so Gaston and I came together at a park nearby because we've been friends for about 10 years. And we actually had the same problem. And this was the origin of SideDrawer. I was on an IPO pitch internationally, and on a 13-hour flight, in the middle of the flight, I had that panic attack that if this plane was to go down, would my wife actually know where my life insurance policy is, who my life insurance agent is, where is my will? And God forbid, if both my wife and I got into a car accident at the same time, my parents would have no idea where anything actually is. They don't know anyone in my network. And so when you start going through that, you think about, how are you actually organized as a particular individual? And, even though I've had professionals that I've dealt with, an advisor or an accountant or a lawyer, but everything's disparate, right? Nothing's actually kept in the same place. And you actually want to leave behind a legacy and not a complete nightmare for your family. And if you've dealt with anyone who's had to deal with someone who passed away, it takes about 9 months to sort things out, regardless of whether they were a high net worth individual or not. There's a lot of complexity in just navigating through that process. So, just take this page, for example. If you just look at basic wills, I was speaking to someone who runs a national will registry in the US, and they said 78% of US wills are either lost or misplaced. So imagine going through the effort, paying, hundreds, thousands of dollars, and even now you can have a digital will made, which is very convenient. But if your family doesn't know where it is, then that's going to be an extremely wasted amount of effort, time, and lots of pain and suffering that goes through that. If you take the financial assets, an average individual has about 5.5 financial accounts. You can open one in minutes, as we know through some of this excellent technology that's being offered by some of the new players out there, the neobanks, and we saw what Wealthsimple did last week. It takes under 30 minutes to open an account. And everyone selects, no paper delivery. They select digital delivery. So if something happens, how do you have completeness of all of the things that you may have opened accounts at, or you may have purchased, etc. So it's very difficult to keep track of these things. And someone would say, well, I've got Dropbox and Google Drive, but the reality is that if, I'd like to think that I'm somewhat organized, but I have nearly 8,000 files across both of those, drives. And that's unstructured storage. It doesn't add any value to my family in case something happens. And if I was to interact with my professionals, it becomes very difficult to manage that process. So there had to be a better solution for this. And this is the problem that we're facing constantly, that clients are dealing with different professionals, and a lot of that traffic that they're communicating with is over email through file sharing links, email attachments, or through random portals. There's no centralized place that someone has access to all of that. So the idea of a digital vault has been around for quite some time. And then what we ended up doing is looking at the experience that's there right now. And if you remember this slide from Steve Jobs' presentation, all of these things are sufficient for what they did, but they actually don't solve the problem in terms of how do you have a good user experience around all of this and still satisfy the requirements of compliance, satisfy the requirements of security, satisfy the requirements of the other integration partners that your business requires you to have be integrated with. And so that's why when we looked at our platform, there's a number of things that we bring to the table. We have a client and family digital vault that is unique in the way that is presented, which I'll show you through the demo. That's what the family and the client end up experiencing. We were actually just featured in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago as a leading digital vault player. And from the advisor's perspective, it ends up, our platform becomes a enhanced file sharing. I call it file sharing plus, because there's a lot of collaboration features that we have built in. And because of the nature of our API-based platform, we continuously are bolting on additional features and workflows. We've had requests for digital signature. We've had requests for fillable PDFs. We've had requests for digital identity verification, a number of things that have gone through discussions as we've been talking to our customers. And we've been able to add them onto our platform because it's so flexible. And you're going to see some very interesting partnerships come out in the next few weeks, or sorry, a couple months, where imagine having some of the more challenging workflows that people deal with today. It could be like dealing with a house purchase. There's a lot of different parties that are involved. How do you deal with that in a very secure manner? And because of the way our platform is designed, our advisor, oops, my screen moved here. Our advisor is central to all of this. So the advisor is the person who becomes closer and is able to become the CFO of the family and manage some of these relationships on behalf of the client. And so that's where we've really been able to bring value to the professional. So the way our product is presented in the market is that we have a turnkey solution for independent advisors and small, medium businesses as well. And then for enterprises and fintechs, we have a complete API solution that they can consume and recreate our platform within their existing offering and take advantage of the various permission settings that we have and the various workflows that we have that they can just recreate through the APIs. So for the purposes of this presentation, I'll focus on the section on the left, which is the turnkey solution. And our turnkey solution is either SideDrawer branded, or in the middle, which is the one that I'll do the demo of, it can be branded to your company, your firm, and we have a very intuitive user mobile app, which is available on both iOS as well as Android. And that mobile app comes the ability to be branded as well. And so all the notifications and the high level of engagement that our platform brings, it always carries the branding of the firm that's using it. So, what have we seen? So over the last, just this last quarter, we've seen a 30% increase in our unique users. And we've seen that on the back of collaborators being added and also just growth in our user base. So if you think about, an advisor who deals with a client through our platform, we've seen the client add their family members, their parents, or their accountant or their lawyer, and being able to bring all those additional professionals into the network of the advisor. And as one advisor said it, he wanted to be the go-to source of truth for all the professionals that this individual client dealt with. And we're seeing that actually take place with with those advisors who are using our platform, because they have the visibility of the activity that's taking place across all facets of a client and their family. We've seen a 35% increase in the documents that are stored, and that could be documents or data, depending. When you see the demo, you'll see how we how we categorize things. They could be either. And we've seen a significant increase in the way that people are using our platform. So what are some of the real life use cases that we've seen? So I mentioned the client's family members getting exposure to the advisor through the passive notifications. And I love using Amazon as an example. I believe Jeff used that in the prior presentation. Our standards for users are being set by Apple, Google, and Amazon for the user experience. And when you order something from Amazon, what's really neat is you get a confirmation that something's ordered. You get a confirmation that something's it's on the truck to be delivered, that it got delivered, and then here's a photo of it being delivered. So you don't have to worry about what activity is happening with Amazon, because you know you're getting these notifications. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with professionals, be they estate lawyers, accountants, or advisors, at least many of the ones that we've come across, you don't get those regular interactions other than the quarterly, monthly, or annual meetings that take place. And so we're finding that folks using our platform, they know that there's a lot of work that they're doing for their clients behind the scenes, but that work doesn't result in a notification necessarily to the client unless they were to craft an email. But through our platform, we have a lot of passive notifications that get sent out, and that drives a lot of engagement between the client and the advisor. As you know, whenever you get something that you weren't necessarily actively seeking at that time, it prompts another thought. And so that's driven higher value engagement between the advisor and the client. So if I give you an example of a particular advisor who had introduced the SideDrawer platform to his client, the client took a significant interest in our platform and actually started opening his own personal accounts for his other businesses, which the advisor was not necessarily had privy to before, and started to add the advisor to those businesses, because the way that we organize the documentation that any individual person interacts with, it makes it so much seamless to collaborate with other parties that are outside of your immediate network. So that's what started to drive a lot of interest from that client. We've had a particular individual a client who was introduced to SideDrawer through an advisor. That individual client switched mortgage brokers because he wanted to use SideDrawer's secure collaboration platform in a manner where it was more convenient to him, and also allowed the broker to see whatever the client wanted him to see, and then remove those permissions very easily. So there's a lot of features that we've got in our platform that improve the workflows and add a lot of value to the end client, to the advisor's client, in their daily lives and how they interact with their family members as well as other collaborators. So at this point, I thought it would be worthwhile to just mention that from a compliance and security perspective, the way our API platform is designed is that if you have clients in the US, all their data is stored in US servers. Canadian clients' data is stored in Canadian servers. We've got our own security staff that conducts a lot of vulnerability testing, and they use some of the most latest techniques to do that. We use Amazon as our main storage, but we can also plug into Azure as well, which is very unique. So our entire platform is plug and play in terms of when we are dealing with an enterprise client. And naturally, we're using all the latest secure encryption techniques that are offered out there in the market. So Mike, with that, if it's okay, can I jump into the demo here?
Go for it, man.
Yeah?
Yep.
Perfect.
Good.
So let's see if this Chrome switches over. Perfect. Can you see my screen now here?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, great. Thank you. So I'll just zoom out a little bit here. Okay. So this is the layout of our platform. You can see that the branding of Acme, which is the demo environment that I'm using, is here on the top. We have a number of, oops, sorry, I've zoomed in too much. We have a number of clients that are listed along the side. So this is how you would manage your clients' information. You have the ability to customize all of these tiles as we present them. So if you think about the way that things were organized before, you know, the filing cabinet was a very effective way to organize things for about 400 years. And then we were introduced to Dropbox and Google Drive, which sort of messed up the way that we organized because they ended up being data dumps. And so it's very difficult to keep track of things. But the filing cabinet was effective. So when you open that up, you're typically presented with the green hangers in each filing cabinet. And the green hangers is how we thought were the most logical ways to organize individuals' documents and the exchanges that you would naturally have. So if you're dealing with somebody on an estate plan, you would be dealing with their legal documents. If you're dealing with somebody on their finance, personal finance, or in their investments, we've got separate categories for those, or taxes for the accountant. So it becomes a very easy way, an intuitive way to zoom in and see what it is that you want to collaborate with. If you dig into any one of these, so I'll dig into the Cindy Stewart, who's a demo client. When I go into Cindy's side drawer, I can see that she's got 3 items already. Perhaps I can make this a little bit clearer here. She's got 3 items already listed, an estate plan and a will. And these would be the manila envelopes that you have for individuals. When you click on any of those, from a user's perspective, you can see it's super clean, very simple. We've got the ability to make this a drop-down selection. So whatever it is that you wanted to select, you can. We've got, it's sort of like a Google search. It makes it super easy to use. And then you've also the ability to drag and drop files for the client and for yourself. From a productivity perspective, we have API integrations with these other storage providers where it improves the workflow that you have because your team maybe is already using it to collaborate on documents internally. And once you sync these, that becomes a permanent sync. So you don't have to come into the platform to do it. That just becomes an API level sync. Adding collaborators is super easy. This would be if you wanted to give somebody permission to this particular record, and you can select what type of permission you want to give them. Some of these are very unique in the way that we've presented our platform. When we have when those invitations go out, we have a very extensive timeline that tracks all the activity, because as I mentioned, our co-founders history comes from a credit card platform, and every single activity in this you can see is tracked from an audit log perspective. It makes sure that you're on side from a compliance perspective. So all activities here, date stamps, time stamps, and then also what the activity was. This is actually the part that's very engaging. This is what gets mailed out to or emailed out to a client, and there's no PII in this. You simply just have what activity took place, and then they see the branding of the advisor. They see that there was a number of things that may have been done in the background. So if you take a simple use case where we're dealing with a client earlier this week, you've got a planner and you've got an advisor and they've got a lawyer that they're working with. All 3 folks are working on a particular client's estate plan, and that they're using our platform for collaboration, and all those notifications are being triggered based on who is who's conducting that activity. From a client's perspective, they're very much engaged in the process without being involved in the process. So they're getting those passive notifications that drives the advisor, who was the original sponsor for the client, into our platform closer to the client, because their branding is constantly being shared with them and their family members. So it's a very engaging platform. It's completely customizable. So if you wanted to control the number of messages, the frequency of them, etc., that's all a variable that can be done. And for any business or a fintech company that we've been speaking with, they're looking to modify the types of messages that are sent out. So all of that is exceptionally customizable without any difficulty. We have the ability to simplify the collaborators that you might be working with. So you can have permissions that are given at the entire SideDrawer level, or for an advisor who might be working with a client on a particular mortgage, let's say, you may only want to give the mortgage broker access to one set of one tile that has the financial statements, for example, or you might want to remove that once that transaction is complete. So from an advisor's perspective, they have visibility on who's getting access to what information. And from a team member perspective, we can group number of teams together, so you always know who on your team was accessing a particular client's file and activity. And that becomes also tracked through the timeline that we have. So any view, edit, upload, download activity that's taking place, all of that activity is tracked through here. And it actually enhances the ability to meet compliance standards, because if you think about what's coming down the pipe with Bill C-11 and a number of other like GDPR type personal data collection, access, and storage requirements, this type of information, being able to provide that at a small business level is very important. Another really important feature that we launched that's a big differentiator is collecting information from clients. One of the workflows that we were told is that it's very time consuming. And Mike, I'm sure you've experienced this quite a bit when you've requested a number of documents from a client. How do you go about through that process? You know, you send an email out, they don't reply. You wait a week and you have to write a gentle reminder to the client to populate the documents for you. We've created a very simple format of collecting this document and gamified it with percentage completed, progress, reminders, notifications. It's very engaging. We've had a number of clients already use it while we were testing this feature out. There's some cleanup to do for us from a UI perspective based on the feedback that we've received, and that's being implemented next week. So the way that we operate is we work closely with our advisors, our clients, and they give us the feedback of what are the types of workflows that would help their business, and then we look at incorporating them. Ultimately, we want to make sure that we have a platform that works with improving the productivity of your practice, improving the client engagement, and also ensuring that your branding is represented through the activity that you're doing and the professionals that you're dealing with. As well, you're actually adding value to your client through a vault offering. A digital vault is a very comprehensive platform to put together to make sure that you're very secure in all the way that you're interacting and all the different parties that are involved in it. And so we've done that, and we've created it with a turnkey solution for our advisors and other businesses. We've got group benefits firms that are using it to communicate with their clients. We've got PNC companies that are using it to collect sensitive company information so that they can provide quotes for the business. As you know, emails are being hacked on a regular basis, so there is a significant trend to move off of email, and our platform is one that accommodates that transition very easily. And I just did want to mention that all of these tiles are customizable based on what suits best for your business. So if you are insurance focused and you want less of the individual type of tiles, all of that can be done. If you're more catering to businesses, and if I use this business as an example, it completely switches to represent what is more appropriate for a business and how they would need to be organizing their documents when they're collaborating with their trusted professionals. And we've seen a number of advisors who deal with high net worth individuals who have their own personal and family or household situations to organize, but then as well as their businesses that they have to organize, and they use our platform to keep them completely separated in that sense, and also be able to liaise with their different professionals that are unique to the individual or to the business. So it's a very robust, a very flexible platform. We take feedback constantly from our clients on how they'd like to see the product evolve, and we've been rolling features out at probably at a rate of 1 to 2 a month over the last 6 months. So so I think that that sort of addresses what I wanted to showcase on the demo and of the product. Mike, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. If anybody wanted to go through and take the demo for a longer spin, more than happy to do that. I'll drop my email address in the chat box there. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out. But are definitely seeing a lot of interest in using our platform to increase the level of engagement and actually add a lot of value to our clients, or to the advisors' clients.
Awesome, Ali. I think the one of the coolest things, I mean, the whole platform is really amazing, but one of the really neatest operational things that I find from a financial planning perspective is that whole intake process, the way of gathering documents safely, securely from clients that you need to onboard a client, to open accounts for a client, and to gather the data that you need to start the financial planning process and to maintain an up-to-date financial plan. Having a mechanism and a platform like this to assist that process so much, I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we're seeing, uses beyond just like even onboarding. KYC, you have to make sure that all that information that's updated with our secure form filling right in our platform, with a very intuitive UI, allows clients to actually complete those things a lot faster and have a better enjoyable experience through that.
Well, I think the overarching issue here too is that this is not just like it's cool technology. The thing is that the issue that you guys are solving, which is what good technology is all about, is about solving problems, is the safety and security of confidential information that clients would normally be sharing with their advisors in a very unsecure way.
Absolutely.
And the way it's done today hasn't changed in 10, 15, 20 years, with the exception of maybe not using a fax machine anymore. Everything's still being done by email. And clients, regardless of age, I think this is what's very interesting, I think, is regardless of age, clients are asking about those issues. They're concerned about the security. They're concerned about identity theft. They're concerned about how they're communicating that sensitive data to their mortgage broker, to their financial advisor, to their planner, to their investment advisor, whoever is in their life that needs that information, their lawyer, their accountant. So to have a mechanism, which you guys provide, obviously, that allows that information to be shared very safely, very securely, and efficiently is, I think, is a game changer, quite honestly.
Thanks very much. We're definitely seeing that. We've had advisors tell us that clients who had expressed concern about emailing their NOAs and income T4 slips and so on to them.
Sure.
When they showed them after a coffee meeting, literally we got this feedback. They were at a coffee meeting. He opened up his mobile app, invited the client right away. When the client got the invite, they logged in right there on the spot. They had all their tiles pre-populated with the onboarding forms that they needed, the marketing brochures, and were able to upload those documents when they got home. So it's a great user experience, and it's just one of those easy wins that you can have as an advisor to your client to show, look, I'm secure. I'm not using a terrible user experience like secure email, which is horrible, and right, and attaching 18 files to this one email. So it's a much better way to operate, for sure.
And the mobile app, what does that look like? It's pretty user friendly, obviously.
It is, yeah. I think if I'm able to show this on my screen, because I use a different I'll have to share my whole screen, but I don't mind doing that here. This gigantic phone on my screen. That's what the mobile app looks like. It's very intuitive. We've got all the timeline activity that shows up here as well. And if I was the advisor and I wanted to switch into any of my other side drawers, I can do that here. All of the clients show up here. It's a very intuitive, very easy to use platform. We have take a photo to convert your document into a PDF. Take your photo, if you have a will that's 6 or 7 pages long, let's say, you can use that to take your photos and convert that into multiple PDFs. So it's a very unique platform that we've not come across anything similar to.